This is TWiT.
Patrick, are you still on the tweeter botter?
I am. I wish there was an alternative, and please, no one say Mastodon. I mean, yes, I'm on Mastodon as well. It's really great. But I don't think, I was going to say, unless he messes up colossally, which he already has.
It's kind of amazing how Elon has found ways to continue to mess up. Like, I thought it was going to be calm for a while. And then last week, a week ago, Thursday, he pulled the plug on third-party apps. He killed the API without telling anybody and without even admitting to it. And then in a few days later, well, the information had a story saying, we have the Slack messages. It was intentional. Then a few days later, they said, yeah. Because these guys, Twitterific and Tweetbot and Tusk, they were breaking the rules. To which, Craig Hockenberry and Paul Haddad said, "What? We've been doing this for 15 years. What rules?" To which
it's even worse.
Twitter's response last Thursday was to make up some rules, stick them in, and say, those rules.
They didn't even specify any rules.
No.
They were like, first, after 4 days or a week, they said, yeah, we made some changes so some clients might not work. And then a week after that, they updated the not the EULA, but the
API
user,
rules,
the developer, the API rules, saying, we are upholding some longstanding. Oh, sorry, it was the other way around. We're upholding some longstanding rules. So there you go. Without specifying anything. Like, they didn't imagine being a developer whose life it is to develop your app for 10 years. And all of a sudden it doesn't work. And for days, no one says anything. And even when they end up saying something, they don't say anything. It is, I've had my issues with Twitter and Elon Musk and the way he's been running it. Like, giving Nazis back their voice was not great, for example. But I think this is even worse, if that's possible. It got me so infuriated.
Is it really? I mean, all he's doing is saying, we want you to use our client because that's where our advertising is. And so, I mean, is it really worse?
It's the blocking the third-party apps is not the problem. It's the way of doing it that is so disrespectful.
Well, and some of these apps have been around since the beginning. Sean Heber, we had Craig Hockenberry of the Icon Factory on Tech News Weekly. Great interview. You can see that on Ask the Tech Guys or on Tech News Weekly. But Sean Heber wrote the end of an era blog post for Icon Factory and pointed out Twitterific has been part of Twitter since 2007. They invented the blue bird that Twitter then started using. They invented the word tweet. They won many Apple Design Awards. This was, the Icon Factory's bread and butter. Paul Haddad of Tweetbot wrote a very sad post. Here's the graveyard. And by the way, notice the elephant. That's because they're writing a Mastodon client called Ivory to replace that. But all of these small companies have said, please, we've pulled them from the App Store. Do not ask for a refund. We can't afford it. They could put these companies out of business.
Yeah, I do just want to, if I could just say, I do just want to say, I don't think this is as bad as Elon letting
putting Nazis on.
and
I'm
anti-vaxxers,
of course, yes.
Well, and all of that back on there. I think we need to put that in perspective here. I want to be honest and say, Leo, there's not many things I am more sympathetic to Elon on. These apps have always been in kind of uncomfortable water with Twitter because of the reason you just outlined. Like, Twitter is there ultimately to sell ads. It screws up their ability to bring very specific products out to the widest audience possible. They have this API and they do have a long working relationship, but Twitter, long before Elon Musk bought Twitter, has been really encouraging people to use this app every single way they can. A lot of the newer features, like Twitter Spaces, but you can't access that from a browser. You need it from a smartphone to do that. And it's a great feature. So, it's not to say I agree with the way Elon has done this. I don't. I think it's terrible. I think he's a terrible human being. I'm on record saying that. But I think it's fair to say that these developers should have known this writing has been on the wall for quite a while.
It's actually not the first time it happened. Remember, Bill Gross was starting to buy up all the third-party apps, and Jack Dorsey cut off a lot of third-party access, ended up buying TweetDeck to keep it out of his hands. So although Dorsey, as I seem to remember, has said that was a big mistake to cut off third-party apps, because as much as they ride upon Twitter, they also contribute to Twitter, and they add to the Twitter user base. Shoshana, you probably just use the website, I would guess, like most people.
It's a big mix. It's a lot of TweetDeck. A lot, I use it in all different kinds of ways, but I know that just people like different interfaces and stuff. So I think it is kind of short-sighted his behavior, the way he went about it is bad. I think we all kind of agree there that that's just not how you treat other people in business, especially after he's been throwing other people under the bus and just creating all these waves for no reason in certain cases. But yeah, like I plug lots of apps into other apps using Zapier and using Integromat.
Yep.
I love those. They're so good. And I've had some wild ones, like 50-step automations. Just sometimes you want to use apps differently and you want to find better ways to connect them or make them work for you. And when people are kind of getting fed up with your app generally through other decisions, whether or not even that's, it's legitimate for them to be upset about it, you don't keep making waves. It's one thing if you wanted them to come to the table and be like, listen, we have issues here. We need to work through this. Let's try to make this work. But just pulling the plug for no reason while other people are upset about the way he's behaving and the way he's running things, I just don't think it's smart business sense, which is like, I think everyone thinks just every random rich guy is going to be able to do amazing things if he touches any kind of company. But people have different skills, and maybe this just isn't his skill set, which is okay. But like for his own sake and all the money he's spent on it, you would think he would just be like, well, maybe I don't want to lose like $44 billion. Like, let me take a step back and like figure that out. But it's just kind of wild to me that he hasn't done that. And he just keeps making waves and like, going after people he's worked with or who were at the company and firing people and all of this. It's just kind of a big mess for no reason that doesn't benefit him in any way that I can see. I
kind of, it's funny, Brianna, I would say I didn't agree with you, except I kind of do agree with you in this regard. I mean, it is a really privately held company. One guy owns the whole thing. He can do anything he wants with it. I'm a fan of, sorry, Patrick, Mastodon and open platforms, the Fediverse and open platforms for that very reason, that no one owns it. And it's kind of, there's an API and it's, governed by its users. And if somebody decides to do something bad, they can be kind of, routed around. And Twitter's not that. It's a centralized proprietary system. So on the one hand, I agree with you. He's doing what's best for the business in this one respect, at least short term, because he's preserving the ad base, although apparently 40% of the ad revenue has disappeared out the window in the last couple of months.
Don't miss All About Android every week. We talk about the latest news, hardware, apps, and now all the developer-y goodness happening in the Android ecosystem. I'm Jason Howell, also joined by Ron Richards, Florence Ion, and our newest co-host on the panel, Wen Tu Dao, who brings her developer chops. Really great stuff. We also invite people from all over the Android ecosystem to talk about this mobile platform we love so much. Join us every Tuesday, All About Android on TWiT.tv.